LeBron James and Kevin Durant thought they were just having a fun chat on a podcast, but one offhand comment turned the whole basketball world upside down. What started as harmless talk ended up setting off a storm of controversy when their words about Michael Jordan got out.
With that three-pointer, so that leaves him with only one ring. And that one ring was because of a Draymond Green suspension. So looking at all of that, Kevin and LeBarbie both have no legitimate ring.
And when Magic Johnson heard it, he wasn't about to let it slide. We're diving into the wild moment when Magic stepped in to defend MJ's legacy. The podcast conversation that didn't just go viral, it split generations of fans in half.
Yeah. He said, it's my league now.
Yeah.
He said, MJ, you had your turn. Larry Bird, you had your turn. Now it's my league.
I love it.
And we all
These are the kinds of moments that don't happen under the bright lights of an arena, but in those in-between spaces, the podcasts, the interviews, the off-the-record convos, where guards drop, truths come out, and legacies get tested. On July 9, 2025, one of those explosive moments hit. It was supposed to be just another casual sit-down, but instead it became a turning point. One so subtle yet so loaded that it shook the NBA from top to bottom.
takes off. David Robinson coming this way. So Mike just cuffed. And he just looked at
In the air.
And he kept looking. He kept looking. He kept looking. He went all the way down, Jack. He did a 360. Ooh. Bam! I said, that's it. That's it. It's over now.
What looked like simple banter turned into a full-blown controversy that reignited the GOAT debate that's been heating up for over 20 years. Picture this: Kevin Durant sitting across from LeBron James and Steve Nash in the studio for Mind the Game, LeBron's podcast where basketball geniuses break down the mental and physical grind of playing at the top level.
I'm sure you guys got more out of the practices than you got out of the actual playing.
You're right. We practice, man. When you got 10 egos out on that court like
Best
that.
in the world.
Yes, going at each other every.
The vibe was smooth, the energy real. Just three legends talking shop about what it takes to keep chasing greatness. They got deep into the mindset of commitment, that brutal point every athlete reaches when the trophies stop meaning as much and the question creeps in: do I still want this? And that's when Durant dropped the line that changed everything. He said, every so often you think like, yeah, I'm 10, 12 years in, I've got 4 MVPs and 4 championships, like, but do I still want to do this? You know what I'm saying? You know how it is. Some people say, I want to go play baseball and then want to come back, and some want to play 22 straight. Boom. The moment those words hit, every real hoop fan knew exactly who he was talking about.
Kant still has 0 rings, if you ask me, because he basically joined the greatest super team in NBA history just so he can finally win a ring. And when you look at Lee Diddy's rings, he won a Mickey Mouse ring in 2020 and another Mickey Mouse ring in 2012 during the lockout shortened season.
That some people say I want to go play baseball wasn't just a random thought. It was a direct nod to one man only, the one who shocked the world by swapping his Bulls jersey for a bat, Michael Jeffrey Jordan himself, MJ, the icon, the legend, the man whose name still defines greatness in every gym, every playground, every locker room. LeBron's reaction said it all. He burst into laughter, the kind of deep laugh that told everyone he got it. Witnesses said it was like something out of a Dave Chappelle bit, that mix of disbelief and appreciation for the perfect punchline. It wasn't just laughter, it was that knowing chuckle that says, you went there.
They wasn't like that.
You know what?
Y'all wanted to compete.
I wasn't a guy like that.
Yeah.
I never wanted to play with nobody but my dudes.
Yeah.
I was good. And I've always been a dude, wherever I end up, that's where I'm rolling.
And I respect it. In that one exchange, a single sentence reignited an old fire, and Magic Johnson was watching, ready to jump into the mix. In that instant, whether they meant to or not, 2 of basketball's biggest superstars looked like they were cracking jokes at the expense of the man who built the very throne they've been fighting to sit on. But here's where the story flips, and where LeBron James and Kevin Durant might have realized they touched a nerve they never meant to. Because that little jab about Michael Jordan's baseball detour, it wasn't just a sports reference.
He talked trash, but I had to that time. So I said, Michael, if you don't turn into Air Jordan, we gonna blow y'all out. Man, he started sweating. That tongue went long.
It was a reminder of one of the darkest chapters in MJ's entire life. Back on July 23, 1993, just weeks after Michael claimed his 3rd straight NBA title, tragedy struck. His father, James Jordan, was murdered during a carjacking in North Carolina. It was devastating. James wasn't just a father to Michael, he was his rock, his biggest supporter, the man behind the scenes who believed in him long before the world did. Losing him shattered Michael in ways no fan could ever truly understand. So when MJ announced his sudden retirement on October 6, 1993, saying he'd lost the drive to compete, those closest to him knew the truth. This wasn't about fatigue or boredom, it was about heartbreak.
Ask me who I would take between Kevin Durant and LeBron James. That's a very complicated question, because one loves attending them Diddy parties, and the other one is a snake that defends himself with Twitter burner account.
It was about a son trying to honor his father's memory in the only way he knew how. And that's what so many people forget when they throw around casual jokes about Jordan playing baseball, because James Jordan always dreamed of seeing his son on a baseball diamond. Long before basketball greatness ever entered the picture, baseball was their shared dream. So when Michael put on that Chicago White Sox minor league uniform and hit .202 across 127 games with the Birmingham Barons,
Back. You gotta get it back. So get down on that block and get him back. So I threw it to him. He scored. They come back. They scored. We scored. So we were talking stuff. So finally, we got on.
He wasn't running away from basketball. He was running towards something his father would have been proud to see. It was a final personal tribute to the man who gave him everything. That's the part everyone missed in that podcast studio on July 9th. That's the emotional depth behind the moment Kevin Durant said, "Some people say, I want to go play baseball." He might have thought it was clever, maybe even harmless. But to anyone who knows the story, that comment hits deep. It's not just about changing careers or chasing new challenges. It's about grief, legacy, and love. When the clip hit social media,
those boys are trying their hardest, jumping from super team to super team, trying to catch up to my 6 rings. But we all know it's never gonna happen.
It exploded. Within hours, X, formerly Twitter, was a full-on battlefield. Jordan fans came swinging with passion. LeBron loyalists fired back with stats, and every timeline turned into chaos. The replies were wild. Fans posting clips, quotes, and receipts like it was Game 7 energy online. Some said KD's words were nothing but friendly banter, just athletes respecting each other's paths while praising LeBron's insane longevity. But others saw something colder, something that felt like a slick attempt to chip away at Jordan's legend while hyping LeBron's case as the GOAT. One viral post summed it all up perfectly, cutting straight to the heart of what made this whole thing blow up in the first place. Some people's fathers get murdered and go play baseball. Those brutal words hit the internet like a punch to the chest. They floated through timelines and comment sections, cold and heavy. A reminder that this was no longer just about who's the GOAT. This was about respect, about understanding the story behind the man before throwing shade for clout. Then, of course, Skip Bayless jumped in. And when Skip shows up, you know things are about to get messy. He didn't hold back, calling Durant's jab pathetic and saying it exposed KD's ignorance and insecurity. He even came for LeBron, slamming that laugh as equally disgusting. It was the kind of fiery reaction that usually feels over the top. But this time, a lot of fans thought Skip actually had a point. Because here's the truth. What got lost in that podcast moment wasn't just sensitivity to MJ's pain, it was a loss of perspective on why Michael Jordan's story is so legendary in the first place. Sure, he retired 3 times. Yeah, he stepped away to swing a bat. But then he came back and dominated like no one else ever has. When MJ returned, he didn't just play, he conquered. He led the Bulls to a mind-blowing 72-win season in 1995-96, the best in NBA history at the time. He grabbed 3 more Finals MVPs and finished his career 6 for 6 in championship series, never losing when the lights were brightest. That's not luck, that's legacy. So when KD joked about some people going to play baseball, it painted Jordan like a man who walked away when things got tough, completely missing the real message of his story. Jordan's greatness was never about how long he played, but how hard he hit when everything was on the line. His career wasn't built on endurance, it was built on domination, pure and simple. As that podcast clip kept spreading like wildfire, debates got louder, emotions got rawer, and timelines turned into battlegrounds. Think pieces popped up everywhere, with journalists, fans, and even retired players weighing in. And amid all that noise, Kevin Durant finally decided to speak for himself. He took to X, calm but firm, trying to clear the air and explain what he really meant. The Phoenix Sun star wanted to make sure the world knew his words weren't meant to disrespect a legend, but by then, the fire was already burning way too hot. MJ retired 3 times and still the GOAT. I applaud that. Just like I applaud playing 22 years at an elite level. It's okay to call that out, my brother. That's how Kevin Durant tried to smooth things over, adding that he's a massive MJ fan, even flexing that he owns over $1 million worth of Jordan sneakers to prove it. But by then, the internet had already made up its mind. His clarification felt too polished, too late, like trying to close Pandora's box after the chaos already escaped. You can't rewind a viral moment. You can't take back a laugh that's already been clipped, shared, and debated by millions. And what made this whole thing blow up even more? The names attached to it. This wasn't just any podcast with random hot takes. This was LeBron James, a man whose entire basketball life has been measured against Michael Jordan's shadow. And right next to him was Kevin Durant, a superstar still battling the ring chaser label and questions about his legacy, two of the greatest players of their era. And they just laughed in a way that felt, to many, like they were poking fun at the greatest of all time. It wasn't just a laugh anymore, it became a statement. Fans saw it as disrespect toward the man who built the standard they're both chasing. But MJ wasn't just going to let it slide either. Word started spreading that he'd dropped some sarcastic remarks of his own. Sharp, cutting, and classic Jordan energy. The kind of subtle shots that remind everyone, when you talk about him, you'd better come correct. And that's when things got serious. The tension turned from online drama into a movement. Because when you come for the king, you better not miss. What happened next wasn't just backlash, it was a basketball civil war. Fans, analysts, and former players all picked sides, and suddenly, the GOAT debate wasn't just a discussion, it was personal. In the days that followed, the NBA world split down the middle. For years, people had debated Jordan versus LeBron like it was a fun barbershop argument, but this time, it cracked the basketball world wide open. Even the old legends who usually stayed quiet couldn't bite their tongues anymore. Former players who'd always kept things diplomatic, who avoided picking sides, finally spoke up, and they came out swinging. One of the loudest voices, Kwame Brown, the former #1 overall pick, who's had his fair share of battles with critics, stepped up with a raw, fiery YouTube video that blew up. The clip racked up over 500,000 views, and he didn't hold back for a second. Kwame's message hit hard, his tone unfiltered, like a man defending an era that refuses to be disrespected. And just like that, the firestorm had officially begun. The legends were striking back, and the basketball world was about to feel every ounce of their fury. Kwame Brown went off. He tore into Kevin Durant and LeBron James with the kind of raw, unfiltered emotion that only someone who lived through that Jordan era could bring. Kevin Durant, he snapped. That statement was ignorant. Jordan won 3 straight championships, then his father got killed that summer. MJ retired in October and dedicated himself to baseball, a sport his father always wanted him to play. You smart idiots. His voice dripped with frustration. It wasn't just anger, it was pain from watching two modern icons forget the struggle that shaped the man they were mocking. And Brown didn't stop there. He called out what he saw as pure hypocrisy, blasting Durant and James for criticizing Jordan's choices when their own careers had been built on the kind of moves that old-school players still frown upon. He straight up called them road runners, saying they ran from challenges instead of meeting them head-on. In his eyes, they were stars who built super teams instead of conquering them, a stinging accusation that cut deep into the heart of their legacies. It wasn't just a rant, it was a full-on indictment of how the game had changed, how loyalty, grit, and competition had been replaced by convenience and control. Then came Gilbert Arenas, the former Washington Wizards star, a man never shy about saying exactly what's on his mind. He added fuel to the fire, throwing his own truth into the chaos. Arenas reminded everyone of what most had conveniently forgotten. Jordan didn't just decide to leave basketball for fun, he said. The league pushed him out. He brought up those old rumors, the gambling investigations, the whispered allegations tied to his father's death, all the messy, painful layers that made MJ's first retirement far more complicated than anyone on that podcast let on. Arenas wanted people to remember that Jordan wasn't just walking away from the game. He was walking through grief, through pressure so intense it could crush a person. Back then, there were no PR teams cleaning up headlines, no social media managers protecting reputations. It was just Jordan. Alone, under the spotlight, carrying the weight of the world on his shoulders. He didn't quit because he was tired, Arenas said. He left because the fame, the loss, the noise, it all became too much. And just when things couldn't get any louder, Charles Barkley jumped in. And when Chuck speaks, the whole world listens. Jordan's old Olympic teammate and one of basketball's most brutally honest voices, Barkley came swinging with his trademark mix of humor and truth. I don't like any guys who join super teams, Barkley said bluntly. Michael didn't join anybody. He kept getting his butt kicked. and came back stronger. You, Kevin, haven't been successful anywhere else. Everyone knew exactly what he was talking about. Durant's move to the Golden State Warriors back in 2016, right after losing to them in the Western Conference Finals. It's still one of the most talked about and most controversial moves in NBA history. Barkley's jab hit KD right where it hurt most, throwing more gas on a fire that was already blazing out of control. Kevin Durant didn't just switch teams, he joined a squad that had already made history. The Golden State Warriors had just won 73 games, the best regular season ever, and they didn't even need him to be great. But once he got there, they became flat-out unbeatable. Durant went on to snag 2 championships and 2 Finals MVPs, but the shadow of that decision has followed him ever since. No matter how much he wins, the whispers never stop. Was it really earned? Charles Barkley's message hit home. Jordan never took the easy road. When MJ kept getting knocked out by the Detroit Pistons in the late 80s, he didn't join them. He trained harder, got stronger, and came back to crush them. That's the difference, Barkley said. That's the standard. To Barkley, neither Durant nor LeBron has ever truly met that bar, because when things got tough, they switched squads instead of conquering their obstacles. And then came a voice from the middle ground. Steve Kerr, the Warriors head coach and one of Jordan's old teammates from the Bulls dynasty. His past comments suddenly resurfaced and hit harder than ever amid the storm. LeBron has been compared to Michael, Kerr had once said. I don't think he's Michael at all. Kobe has the same mindset as Michael, the assassin. That one line, the assassin, sent fans into a frenzy. It wasn't an insult to LeBron's greatness, but it drew a sharp line in the sand. Kerr was saying that being legendary isn't just about numbers or rings. It's about a certain mentality, that killer instinct, that cold-blooded drive that Jordan and Kobe lived by, the will to destroy anyone who dared stand in their way. And in Kerr's eyes, LeBron, for all his talent and achievements, played on a completely different frequency. Social media went wild. Polls and debates exploded across every platform. One Yardbarker poll showed that 62% of over 10,000 voters sided with Jordan's defenders, saying Durant's baseball comment crossed a line. The numbers told a deeper story. This wasn't just about who people thought was the GOAT, it was about respect. It was about knowing when to joke and when to recognize that certain topics, like grief and loss, shouldn't be used as casual podcast banter. YouTube, of course, turned into a battlefield of clickbait chaos. Creators raced to upload reaction videos with titles like Michael Jordan live blasts LeBron and KD for disrespecting him, and MJ and Barkley just destroy LeBron and KD. Each video pulled in hundreds of thousands of views, feeding a frenzy that just kept growing. And here's the craziest part. Jordan himself hadn't said a single word. Yet AI-generated voices and chopped-up old clips flooded timelines, faking new statements just to keep the drama alive. The internet was manufacturing confrontation out of thin air, blurring the line between real outrage and viral fiction. But while the digital world screamed, something more meaningful was brewing in the background. Because this wasn't just about Durant's one-liner anymore, it had become a reflection of what the modern NBA values and how easily legacy can be twisted online. And one man, one legend, was quietly watching all of it unfold. Not a fan, not a reporter, but someone who actually faced Michael Jordan on the court, someone who knew the fire behind the myth. Magic Johnson had seen enough. The Lakers icon, one of the few who understood both eras, was ready to speak up. Not with a viral post, not with a soundbite, but with the kind of heartfelt, experience-filled truth that only Magic could deliver. He'd played against MJ, battled him, respected him, and he knew something this younger generation seemed to forget, that greatness isn't just about stats, rings, or highlight reels. It's about how you carry yourself when the whole world's watching. Magic Johnson was about to remind everyone exactly why certain names in basketball aren't just remembered. They're revered. This wasn't just about numbers or trophies. It was about respect. It was about understanding what it truly meant to face Michael Jordan at his absolute peak, to witness up close the kind of brilliance that could shake your entire idea of what basketball even was. Magic Johnson didn't just hear stories about MJ, he lived them. And now, he was ready to remind the world exactly what made Michael Jordan different from anyone who's ever touched a basketball. What made Magic's voice so powerful in this storm was his unique spot in history. He wasn't just a commentator, he was part of the story. Magic wasn't a Jordan fanboy or a distant admirer, he was a rival, a competitor who faced off against MJ when everything was on the line. Their clash in the 1991 NBA Finals, Magic's last championship run and Jordan's first title victory, marked a legendary moment in basketball history. The Bulls took that series 4-1, and in doing so, the torch officially passed from one era to the next. Magic's showtime gave way to Jordan's empire. Now, more than 30 years later, Magic was ready to use that same history to defend his old rival, not out of loyalty, but out of truth, because to him, the new generation didn't really get it. The GOAT talk was about to get personal, and when Magic Johnson steps into a debate, it hits differently. There's a certain gravity that comes when a legend defends another legend. No chart or stat sheet can compete with that. When someone who's been there says, "That's the greatest player I've ever seen," it's not an opinion, it's testimony. It comes from scars, sweat, and first-hand experience. It comes from looking across the court and realizing you're staring at something superhuman. That's the energy Magic brought when he took the stage at InvestFest 2025 in Atlanta during his Earn Your Leisure podcast appearance. The timing couldn't have been more explosive. The KD and LeBron podcast clip was still shaking the basketball world. Debates about legacy were raging online, and fans were questioning whether today's stars even understood the meaning of respect. So when the inevitable question came, Michael Jordan or LeBron James, Magic didn't hesitate for even a second. No politics, no media-friendly dance around the answer. He said it plain, it would have to be Michael Jordan, then LeBron, and then Kareem. But it wasn't just the order that made people lean in. It was the way Magic told it. He didn't just drop a ranking, he painted a story. His voice carried reverence, almost spiritual awe, as he took everyone back to that iconic 1991 finals moment that burned itself into basketball history. "I'm always going to be honest with myself," he said. "Don't get it twisted. I love LeBron. But when Michael Jordan took off with that tongue out, man." The crowd leaned in as Magic described it. That play, the one every basketball fan knows by heart. "Listen, a lot of you weren't born then. Right hand, we thought we had him. Then he looked at us midair, switched it to the left, tongue out, glass, bucket. Nobody alive has been able to do that. That boy was too bad." He wasn't exaggerating. That play in Game 2 of the '91 Finals has become basketball mythology. Jordan drove right, got trapped midair, then, with no time, no angle, no logic, switched hands mid-flight, laid it in with his left, and left the entire Lakers defense frozen in disbelief. It was the kind of move that defied physics and humbled even the greatest competitors. And Magic? He saw it happen. He was right there, helpless, watching genius unfold in real time. Jordan averaged 31.2 points per game that series on 56% shooting, including one stretch where he didn't miss a single shot, going 13 for 13 from the field. But those weren't just stats. They were statements, proof that Jordan wasn't just great, he was inevitable. What made Magic's defense of Jordan so powerful was that it didn't come from bitterness or rivalry. He wasn't trying to tear LeBron down. In fact, he praised him too. "LeBron's a bad boy," Magic said, smiling. "He's a bad boy, but he's not Michael. Don't get it twisted. I love LeBron, but no." And when Magic says bad boy, it's not an insult, it's a nod of respect. To him, LeBron James is an all-time great, one of the best ever to play the game. But great and greatest are two different levels. LeBron carved out his own mountain, but the peak of the sport, that still belongs to Michael Jordan. Magic's words reminded everyone what's often forgotten in these endless GOAT debates, that it's not about tearing one player down to lift another up. It's about recognizing why Jordan's legacy stands apart. His dominance, his killer instinct, his undefeated finals record, his cultural impact stretched far beyond basketball. Jordan didn't just win games, he defined greatness itself, and Magic wasn't done there. On All the Smoke with Matt Barnes and Steven Jackson, he went even deeper, sharing a story from the 1992 Dream Team that captured exactly why he holds MJ in such rarefied air. He described that legendary Team USA practice where Jordan took over completely, outplaying everyone, including Magic, Bird, Barkley, and the rest of basketball's royalty. When it was over, Magic stood up and said 4 words that became legend. "We all bowed down." Those 4 words said everything. There was no ego, no resentment, just pure recognition of something otherworldly. For a 5-time champion and 3-time MVP like Magic Johnson to admit that, it showed just how far above the rest Jordan really was. And that's what made the LeBron Durant podcast moment sting so deeply for that older generation. For guys like Magic, Bird, and Barkley, you didn't joke about Michael Jordan's legacy. You didn't laugh about his darkest moments. You respected him because he earned that reverence with blood, sweat, and unrelenting dominance. When Magic spoke, the basketball world listened. Clips from Earn Your Leisure went viral instantly, flooding YouTube, TikTok, and every major sports outlet. Lakers Nation and Bleacher Report ran with the story, emphasizing how Magic's opinion hit harder than any analyst's, because he wasn't just a witness to Jordan's greatness, he was a part of it, and his words carried a message much bigger than rankings or rivalries. This was a generational statement, a declaration of values. Magic wasn't just defending MJ, he was defending an entire code. The old school belief that greatness comes from facing the best, not joining them. When Magic talked about never wanting to team up with stars, about competing instead of combining forces, he drew a line right through basketball history, one that separates his era from today's. For Magic and the legends of his time, loyalty and pride defined the game. And with that one heartfelt defense of Michael Jordan, Magic Johnson reminded everyone why those values, and that respect, still matter. This wasn't just nostalgia, it was a wake-up call. Magic Johnson wasn't living in the past. He was challenging how the modern NBA operates. He was pointing out that the fire, the hunger, and the grind that defined his generation, the kind that pushed players like Michael Jordan to rise through adversity, not alliances, was something this era risks losing. By standing up for Jordan after the shots from Durant and LeBron, Magic wasn't just defending one man's reputation, he was defending an entire philosophy of basketball, a mindset built on pride, toughness, and the belief that greatness is earned through battle, not built through convenience. As weeks passed and the noise refused to die down, one truth became crystal clear. This was never really about a single podcast comment or a quick laugh. This was about legacy, about how we choose to remember greatness, and whether the legends who built the game deserve respect from the stars who now stand on their shoulders. Magic Johnson's stance left no room for doubt. In one bold moment, he reminded the whole basketball world why Michael Jordan's name still towers over the sport decades after his final championship ring. Jordan's story isn't just a highlight reel, it's the blueprint for what greatness looks like. Sure, the GOAT debate will never truly end, and maybe that's the beauty of it. Fans will argue Jordan versus LeBron forever, but when Magic Johnson, a man who actually went toe-to-toe with MJ in his prime, says that nobody will ever replicate what Michael Jordan did, that means something. It's not theory, it's experience. It's the word of someone who's earned his scars, battled under those same lights, and witnessed with his own eyes what made Jordan untouchable. LeBron James and Kevin Durant are certified legends. No one's denying that. Their resumes speak for themselves. But the next time someone tries to joke about Michael Jordan's baseball detour or downplay what he stood for, they might want to pause and think about who's listening. Because the men who played against Jordan, the ones who felt that intensity firsthand, they haven't forgotten, and they never will. Respect in basketball isn't just given, it's earned. And through his words, Magic Johnson reminded everyone that some legacies deserve to stay untouchable. Well, that's it for this one. But don't go anywhere. There's still plenty more fire coming your way. Tap one of the videos on your screen and keep it locked, because we've got more stories that'll leave your jaw on the floor.